Transitions. Transitions are used throughout our speech material. They're used at the beginning. They're used to tie the beginning to the main part. They're used throughout the main part to tie every piece together, and then they're used to tie the main part to the end and to leave us with something to think about. Again, to stress and emphasize the importance of transitions, I call to mind our favorite stand-up comedians. I'm going to include after this lecture an example from Chris Rock, and he uses several seemingly unrelated anecdotes that he ties together through his transitions. He talks about a marathon, he talks about holidays, he talks about commercialism. Notice how he does that, even terrorism. Notice how he does it all. He ties them all together. It makes perfect sense because of his transitions. When you're first building transitions in, it probably will seem very artificial when you're writing them in. You may take the document that I've included in our class about transitions, how to find different transitions. You may take that document, you may plug and play, fill in transitions throughout your speech, and you're like, I just randomly put those in, and they don't sound natural at all. But the best thing to do is to start using a variety of them, playing with them in different contexts, different ways, different transitions that you may use, and then see what sticks, see what fits for you. But it's better to have artificial, repetitive transitions than to have no transitions. Having no transitions results in a very disjointed speaking process. And also, it's going to confuse your listeners. And remember, giving a speech, it's for the listeners. It's for our audience. We have a gift to give them. Public speaking. We're not doing this for ourselves. We're doing it for the audience. So go ahead and use those transitions, plug them in like it's fill in the blank and you just need to put them in there. And then practice with them. Also, remember I talked about this class is a safe place for us to take a step forward wherever we are to improve in our speaking skills. Transitions are very important. They are the mortar that hold the building together. And finally, your speech will have a conclusion. And we talked about that something not to just throw in at the last second, but that it's important, it's essential, it should be done with care, panache. Sometimes we use some of the creative elements that we use in the introduction. We conclude them, we bring them back in the conclusion, we bring the speech full circle. In the conclusion, we want to summarize those main points that we previewed in the intro. We want to provide a clincher, something that we're going to leave our audience with. I hate to say it, but your audience is most likely to remember the first few things you talk about and the last few things. Unless you've prepared so expertly and the whole speech that you give your audience is a beautiful work of art, like what Kevin Hart, like what Chris Rock do, and then you're likely to remember all of it, or perhaps it's just because I've listened to those a lot. I remember each part of it, but really, you want to begin and end in memorable ways. So think through the conclusion. I'm also going to give you a document that has some different ways that you may utilize, some different tools to use for your conclusion. It's important. Do it with care. Craft your conclusion with care. Okay, so you've pranced and gotten that speech ready. You've built it with its introduction, its transitions, and its conclusion. Now it's the day of your speech. What is your job today? Number 1, volunteer to speak. If you're feeling more nervous than you'd like to feel, volunteer to speak first or early on in the lineup. Why? Well, once again, research shows that most people feel the majority of their nervousness before they even begin speaking. And once they're speaking, it kind of goes away. They go, okay, I'm doing this. It's fine. I'm able to channel that extra energy that I had to giving this speech that I prepared for, and it's really not so bad. Number 2, keep your eye contact going. That's something you just need to constantly be aware of. Who are you looking at? Give them your eye contact. Give them your expression through that. 3 is to raise and lower your voice while always projecting. So projecting is going to be sending it to the back of the room and enunciating, but raising and lowering to keep that attention of the audience and maintain